I cannot believe they would do anything so stupid. For two reasons. One is that the trade agreement that we have with the European Union is weak enough as it is and gives us few trade advantages as they are, but they are nonetheless very, very important to businesses and jobs in Britain. And to put that in jeopardy after all the other shocks that we have received, the COVID shock, the Ukraine shock, the energy shock, would be incredibly detrimental to our economy. But secondly, it would put into question the peace and stability in Northern Ireland, because a key part of that agreement, as you're reporting, is the Northern Ireland Protocol, which is not perfect, by the way, and could do with a little bit of adjustment in the way in which it is applied, but nonetheless has been agreed by the British government, is part of an international treaty signed by the British government, and if we were unilaterally to step back from it, the reaction of the European Union would, I suggest, be quick and severe.
Well, let's just try and unpack a little bit of this, because Anne-Marie Trevelyan, the Trade Secretary, said that this was about trying to preserve the Northern Ireland Peace Agreement, and that the unionist community, and she's right about this, were very, very upset about the so-called sea border, and they were complaining about it, and therefore things needed to change. So why would it jeopardise peace in Northern Ireland to do this?
Because if you tore up the Northern Ireland Protocol, which removes, as it were, the land border between North and Southern Ireland, between Britain, as it were, and the European Union, which needs removing permanently because it's the source of so much acrimony, violence and ill will. It's at the heart of the troubles in Ireland, has to move somewhere else. And the Prime Minister decided, and the government negotiated and finally signed an international treaty which said that border should be in the Irish Sea, rather than a land border going across Ireland, the island of Ireland.
But Peter,
now, they signed up to that, and I just say this, Andrew. In my view, it does require being operated, that protocol, and these border arrangements and the whole trade relationship between, as it affects Northern Ireland, with a degree more flexibility, both by us in Britain and by the European Union.
Right, so
and I've
this,
said
this is not a kind of pro-Brussels
I have
broadcast.
made it very clear. I'm a former Trade Commissioner of the European Union. I'm a former Northern Ireland Secretary in the UK. And when I have been asked my view, as I have been by people both in Whitehall and in Brussels, whether I think that a degree of flexibility is required, I have said yes on both sides. But you get that through negotiation and agreement. You don't get it by making threats and by saying you're going to introduce legislation to enable you unilaterally to abrogate that agreement and an international treaty in the process.
Because, Peter, I mean, the other argument would be that whatever happens, under no circumstances would the EU put up a physical border in Ireland. They know the result of that. They're not going to do it. The British government is not going to do it, and therefore it's not going to happen.
Yes, but then how are we going to maintain and police the trade between two different customs areas? It has to happen somewhere. The question is not where it is, because that has been agreed and it was signed up to by Boris Johnson and his colleagues. The question is, with what degree of inflexibility or sort of form filling and bureaucracy and checking? And in time, it may well be that sort of technology provides some solution to this.
Yes.
But we're looking at years ahead. In the meantime, we've got to make work what we have already agreed, and to do so in the best way in order to accommodate different points of view, which of course inevitably exist both within Northern Ireland, between Unionists and other members of the community, and between the UK and the EU.
So let's further try and understand what may be happening here, because this is not a chimera. It's not something that's been made up. It's being briefed by senior people in government. They clearly mean something like this.
Unless, of course, the Prime Minister just needed a new story today.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I mean, is this potentially, as it were, legislative saber rattling? Get everybody talking about Brexit again.
This may be another it may just now be another Johnsonian wheeze. I mean, you know, the Prime Minister is not known for consistency. He doesn't care about detail, and he doesn't mind which set of rules he rides a coach and horses through. He's a journalist, actually, more than a policy maker, and every day brings a new story which he wants to command the news schedules with, and this just may be that story.